Oh, what's goody YouTube? It's your boy Big Playsight here, coming back with another video. Today, we will be doing a mock draft. This took me a long time. I'm actually thinking about making this a premiere. So we could jump right into it. The first pick, the Jaguars select Ikem Ekwonu. Ikem Ekwonu is a violent, dangerous offensive lineman who you don't want to run into on that field if you're a defensive lineman, linebacker, or a cornerback, especially a safety. And I say that because I feel like as just a player, like, he brings that violence, he brings that tenacity, he brings that dog-like mentality. And then, like, with another thing with Ekwonu is, like, dude is raw. Like, I understand that he's raw, but the Jaguars' mold of a player, especially learning and knowing not Howie Roseman. Think about Howie Roseman way too much. Pause. Eagles thing, but I have the Jaguars taking Ekwonu because knowing what Doug Peterson likes in an offensive lineman, I'm thinking Ekwonu is this guy. Like, Ekwonu is that violent, dangerous, athletic offensive lineman. And I could see Neil, but he's not athletic like Ekwonu. He's good. I like his talent, and I like what he can be in the NFL. I like Ekwonu just a little bit more. I think he has a higher upside, a higher ceiling, and probably more potential. And I think that's what the Jaguars are going to value, and that's why I have them taking Ikem Ekwonu here. And I understand that they added Brandon Scherff, but he's the interior. And they overloaded, and they spent a lot of money on that offense this year. So I still have them taking Ekwonu because of the fact that they need a tackle there to protect Prince Charming, Trevor Lawrence. So I have them taking Ekwonu right here. And that pick is just so valued. It's so well. And I feel like with this pick, it gives you reinsurance for the future, especially trying to protect your quarterback. So I have them taking Ekwonu right here at pick 1. Next pick is pick 2. With the number 2 overall pick, I have the Detroit Lions selecting Travon Walker, defensive end out of Georgia. I have the Lions taking him here because I personally just feel like right now on my board, I think he's the 4th best defensive end in the class behind Johnson. Jermaine Johnson. Travon Walker is 4th after Kayvon Thibodeau, Hutchinson, and Jermaine Johnson. And I personally feel like the Lions would do a move like this, especially with what they're trying to, like, prove. Like, right now, you can't tell me there's a definite pick for the Lions. They could be trading out of that pick, like, personally, being honest. Like, I think Kayvon Thibodeau would be one of the best fits for them. But right now, I'm hearing that Dan Campbell doesn't like his effort. He needs to try more. He needs to act like he's showing effort. And I feel like with Travon Walker's athletic ability, his savviness, his just speed off that line, and his potential, standing at 6'5", 272, I think they want that length, that speed, those hands, that upper body strength that he possesses, and just like the discipline. And I feel like his flexibility is another thing that you account for because he can line up in a 3-tech, and that's what the Lions are doing over there. I think the Lions are more 3-4, and sometimes they could run 4-3. Like, they're weird. And I think Dan Campbell would love a player like this, especially with the effort, the potential, the technique, and the style of play that he possesses on that field. I think this would be a good pick. I think it could be a reach to everyone else's eyes, but for them, I think this could be a surprising pick. But, Dan Campbell, I feel like he is surprising in himself. Like, dude is showing skill. Last year, they were solid. I didn't think they did the greatest, but last year they competed, and that's what you want in your team. That's what you want in your players. Dan Campbell possesses that leadership coach. And I feel like that they would draft a guy like Travon Walker right here at number 2. What do you guys think? Do you guys think they should go Travon Walker right here? I personally feel like this would be a good pick for them. And he reminds me a little bit of a Josh Allen. So I have them taking Walker here at 2. With the 3rd overall pick, I have the Houston Texans selecting the best defensive end in the 2022 class, Kayvon Thibodeaux. As you already heard, I said he is the best defensive end in this class. I mean, the guy's got the speed, the length, he's got the agility, he's got that tenacity, he plays with that dog-like mentality. I mean, he brings it all. Like, he's got the potential. I feel like the only thing people don't like about him is his effort. And it only takes that one coach to say, there's always a guy watching behind you. So you gotta keep your job intact, because there's always a guy watching behind you to take that job. And I feel like Kayvon's gonna learn that in the NFL his first year. So he's gotta show effort. And personally, man, I feel like in that 3-tech or any defense, he could really fit it. I feel like dude's got the size, the length, as I already pointed out. He brings that like just dog-like mentality to the field. He's aggressive. Dude's technical. He's very large when he's on that field. Like, off of the like rip move, dude is a beast. And people might worry about his bulkiness or like not him having the like biggest strength, but if you actually look at his game tape, dude is playing like a bull rusher, and he's more of a speed rusher. So I personally feel like Kayvon's got that like just like dog like mentality. And I personally feel like for the Texans situation, they need a defensive end. Like, they got some offensive linemen there already. Why would you take a offensive lineman when you already need a defensive lineman? You need a defensive lineman. I feel like right now they're taking that situation. You could get offensive linemen in those later rounds. The guard class is deep. The tackle class may not be as deep, but it's still pretty solid. And I think this will be a good cornerstone piece for that Texans defense. And Lovie Smith is a defensive guy. So I think this pick works out a lot. So what do you guys think about this pick? Pick 3, Kayvon Thibodeaux to the Texans. You need a cornerstone guy. So let's get it. Next pick. With the 4th pick, the New York Jets select Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end out of Michigan. All right. So I have them taking Aiden Hutchinson because, simply what he relies off of is his bull rushing skills. He doesn't have Kayvon Thibodeau's speed. We'll get that clear. He doesn't have Kayvon Thibodeau type speed, but he's got the bull rushing. And he probably is the best bull rushing defensive end in this class. Dude gets off that line with crazy rip. His rip move off the line is pretty good. And I don't think it's great by any means, but for what the Jets are looking for, I think they run more of a 4-3 defense. And you just got a new regime a couple years ago with Robert Saleh. So you're looking for a guy that could come in and just be a cornerstone of your defense. And I think with Aiden Hutchinson, because the guy has so much potential, I think you just need a guy that could be a cornerstone of that defense if he works out. Because granted, he's never stepped on a field before, or not on a field, an NFL field. He's never done that. So I don't know how any of these players will pan out. But what I'm saying is, for what the Jets are looking for and for what their scheme is, I think a guy like Aiden Hutchinson would fit that scheme. So I have him going right here to the Jets. Let me know what you guys think of this pick. And what do you guys think of Aiden Hutchinson in general? Because I'm pretty high on him. I think he could use a little bit of work. I don't think he's the best defensive end in the class. I think Kayvon is better. You could argue Jermaine Johnson not Johnson. Walker and Johnson actually have higher potential. You could argue that. You could argue they have higher ceilings. But that doesn't mean that they'll be better players. So I have them taking Aiden Hutchinson right here. And the Jets need something they can rely on that defense. So Aiden Hutchinson is the pick right here. Dude is a crazy bull rusher. I don't even know who I compare him to. Maybe who? It's got to be a really good bull rusher. But pick 4 is the Jets. with the 5th pick here, I have the New York Giants selecting offensive lineman out of Alabama, Evan Neal. I think for the Giants situation, they need a just impact offensive lineman, a guy that's fundamentally sound, a guy that can come in, just be a cornerstone of that offensive line, because they haven't had a good offensive lineman in a while, probably since Sean O'Hara, maybe longer than that. I feel like they're more defense. I really don't think the Giants have had the greatest offensive linemen. They've had a couple really good offensive linemen, but not the greatest. And in this past 10 years, this 2010s decade, they've been terrible with the offensive linemen. They ruined Eli's, tenure in that 2010 decade. Obviously, Eli won 2 Super Bowls, but that was in the 2000s decade. And we're in a different decade now. Not the 2010s decade, but the thing that I'm trying to prove here is that the Giants need a cornerstone offensive lineman. And I feel like with Evan Neal, you got the size, you have the speed, you have the weight, 330. I think he's in that 330 range, 337, right? And dude, I feel like for his size, people might compare him to Mekhi Becton, and he has some of the issues that Becton had, especially with the weight. And sometimes he loses to speed rushers, here and there, but he's fundamentally sound. He's powerful. He's more of a technique guy. He's not the purest, just violent offensive lineman like a Kwanu, but he uses his power to his strength when he has to. He's explosive, he's smooth, and he has the length and the size, and he has good mobility for a big man. So I think for what the Giants are looking for in an offensive lineman, this could be their pick. This could be their guy. So Evan Neal to the Giants here. So with this pick, I have the Giants going Neal. Next pick. All right, the 6th pick, I have the Panthers selecting Kenny Pickett, quarterback out of Pittsburgh. I mean, Kenny Pickett, I feel like he's got the Derek Carr type potential. Because, and here's what I mean by that. The way his play style is, it's more of a prudent, patient quarterback in the pocket. He's not going to do the fanciest stuff. He can sometimes roll out, get out the pocket. Obviously, people, will bash him about the slide, which I still think that rule should not have been banned. But, I personally feel like he's got the potential to be the best quarterback in the class. It's just a matter of him, sitting down, get some experience, because I personally feel like all of these quarterbacks need a year to sit. Just being honest. I personally feel like Kenny Pickett has the potential. He's got the arm. I think he has a very prudent arm. He's not the greatest arm, but it's not the worst arm. I feel like Kenny Pickett has a solid arm. It's not terrible. And another thing to note about this guy is his hand size isn't the biggest. And I believe he was a Biletnikoff winner. If I'm wrong, someone could correct me on that in the chat or in the comment section. But he stands at 6'3", 217. He's got ideal height. He's got the athletic ability. He can run. He's got the arm strength. It's above average. He's got good accuracy. I think my only knock on him is he's inconsistent sometimes with his throwing in the middle of the field. And sometimes he'll take underneath throws when the throw isn't downfield and the options aren't available. So it's more reads and his hands are small. So I feel like a dome is better than for him. And obviously the Panthers don't play in a dome. They need a quarterback that they can rely on in the future. Obviously this is going to be a rookie quarterback, but this is a quarterback you could probably build your team around if he pans out. And you have pieces there, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey. So yeah, that's the pick. 7th overall pick, I have the Giants selecting Ahmad Sauce Gardner. Ahmad Sauce Gardner, he's an interesting prospect to me because I think he has potential. I think he has all the talents in the world. He locked up damn near every receiver he faced last year. And I would argue he's the best press cover corner in this class. He was one of the best man-to-man corners last year. People might say he played in a weak division, but he kind of proved that when he played a guy like a Jamison Williams, they had to scheme him away from Gardner. And then Gardner, like as I said, he might be one of the best press cover corners day one as soon as he steps into the NFL. Now I don't think he is going to be absolutely amazing because I don't know if any of these players are going to be absolutely amazing. I'm just going off of upside. I'm going off of potential. I'm just going off of what I see off the film and the one-on-one at the Senior Bowls and whatever I see. But he's rangy. He's tall. I think with the Giants, I think they're not going to trade Bradbury. But either way, I still don't think he's going to be on that roster in a year from now. So you need a guy that you can rely on in the future. You have a Dory Jackson as your two. And then you have guys like Aaron Robinson. And then I can't forget this one corner that they have. But their depth is solid. They just don't have that true number one. I like Bradbury as a one when he's fully healthy. But there was times last year where he, whenever he had to go in that man-to-man situation, he lost somewhat lots of battles. One being Devontae Parker. And I'm not saying Sauce Gardner is going to come in and just absolutely change it. But I think based off potential, the scheme that they like to run over there, a rangy guy with athletic ability, size, and length, and a guy that can blitz with good ball skills, I think that would be a Wink Martindale guy. So that's pick 7. With the 8th overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, I have the Falcons selecting Garrett Wilson, wide receiver from Ohio State. It's simple. If you look at his catch radius and his yak after the catch, you can tell he's one of the best receivers in the class. And you can knock on him for some things. And he does have little holes in his game. But I think with catch radiuses, him, Olave, London, Dotson, I think those guys stand at the peak and the, top of the boards in terms of, just full catch radiuses. And Garrett Wilson, something that makes him special is he's 5'11", 6 feet, I could say. He has good hands. He's got good length. And then he has a good catch radius. I think he has good catching range, too. And then after, as I talk about his yards after the catch, his burst off the line, off the routes, and some route concepts, you could tell that he is speedy as hell. And that's what gives him another advantage. And if you look at the Falcons situation right now, you don't pinpoint on any receivers that they have on that roster. Their one receiver that they had is on a suspension, and that is Calvin Ridley. And right now, I could not tell you one Falcons receiver. All I know on that offense is Kyle Pitts and Cordell Patterson. That's honestly all I know. And Jake Matthews when he's healthy. They traded Matt Ryan. You have Marcus Mariota. You have to draft the receiver. And just to pair him up with a guy like Garrett Wilson, whenever Ridley plays, I think this would be a good scheme fit for the Falcons and what they're trying to run over there, especially with that Arthur Smith-led offense where it's run heavy, but also like intermediate yards after the catch, just quick attack, speed type offense, just quick. And I think Garrett Wilson fits that type of offense, so that's why I have him going 8 here to the Atlanta Falcons. Let me know what you guys think of this pick as we go to the 9th pick. The 9th overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, I have the Seattle Seahawks selecting Malik Willis, quarterback out of Liberty. Hey man, it's been a minute since we heard a guy from Liberty get drafted in the first round. And I have some news for you. There's going to be a guy drafted from Liberty in this first round this year. So, Malik Willis, one reason people crush on the man as a player on that field is because based off of like what we've seen from him, you already know he's one of those mobile type quarterbacks. But he's not just a mobile guy. He's got one of the best deep balls in this class. And he shows you tremendous talent, especially with the mobility. But he has some issues with his mechanics. I won't argue that. And there was some games where he had to play hero ball. So it kind of made his stats look actually better than what the game actually said. You actually have to look back at that film and see how good Malik Willis really was. I'm not saying he doesn't have a cannon and he can't get out the pocket and he doesn't have mobility, but I think it's best for him to sit for a year and just learn from someone, or at least just sit down and take in. And then if he's going to a situation like a Seattle, you have pieces there. You got guys like DK Metcalf, Lockett, and then Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll has been one of the best coaches in the NFL for the last decade. And some people might say he's overrated because people think it was more Russ than him. But either way, he was the coach. And the coach, if he was the head coach of the team, you kind of have to respect it. They've drafted guys like Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, Russell Wilson, Bobby Wagner, Earl Thomas. They've drafted a lot of superstar talents in the past. And I don't think Malik Willis will be a superstar, but I think he does have that type of potential. And he does have that top 10 potential as just a quarterback because of the way his play style is. But Malik Willis is the pick here to Seattle. Shore up that offensive line in those later rounds. You have guys like Locke and Geno Smith there, but pick 9 is Malik Willis. Next. Alright, pick 10, I have the New York Jets selecting a free safety from Notre Dame. Really good cover safety named Kyle Hamilton. I have them taking him right here because, as they lost Marcus May in free agency, got dealt to the Saints. You lose a free safety, so you need to replace one and replace it with a potential safety. Like a guy like a Kyle Hamilton, maybe. Kyle Hamilton is the Jets pick right here, just for the simple fact that I got them Aiden Hutchinson earlier, so you need another cornerstone guy in that secondary. And I feel like with Kyle Hamilton, he gives you that cover ability. Sometimes, obviously he loses matchups to shifty, speedy receivers, because shifty, speedy receivers have that speed. And he's a good cover safety, a good cover guy in the slot. But he can't cover those speedy guys. But the thing with him is, usually he's around the ball. He could go side to side on the field. He's always around. He's got good timing. He's got anticipation. He's intelligent. I think a little bit of the population overrates him. A little bit. Because I don't think he's as good as a top 3 talent in the class. He's got potential, but I don't think he's top 3, of course, but top 10, I definitely think he's there. But I think the Jets need a safety. I think he fits their scheme. He's got speed, size for the position. He's got good cover ability. His only knock is shifty receivers and speedy receivers in the slot. And if he, figures that out and maintains that, contains that, then I think you have a really good safety. But I think the guy has all the world and the potential. I said all the world and the potential. I meant to say all the potential in the world to be good, to be great. And he fits Robert Saleh's scheme. And Robert Saleh can definitely mentor this guy up as a really good safety. So I have them taking Kyle Hamilton right here at pick 10. With the 11th overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders, with a new name, new quarterback, and just a new persona, get offensive lineman out of Mississippi State, Charles Cross. Charles Cross is the pick here for Washington, and a couple of teams have been linked to Charles Cross, and that just outside of that top 10, early teens. Washington's been linked to him. Seattle's been linked to him. A couple teams have been linked to him in that first round. And I think he is the third best left tackle in this class. I think it's just Aquanu 1. I think Neal is 2. And Charles Cross is 3. Honestly, Cross might be one of the best linemen in this class if he gets put in the right situation. I mean, he's very fundamentally sound. He's physical. He stands his ground. He stands his own. He's not a guy that's going to let anyone beat him completely. My only issue with him is he just doesn't get any snaps as a run blocker. I think if you use him more as a run blocker, you kind of see what he's in that type role, because Washington is a run-heavy system, or not a run-heavy system, but I think that will happen next year, especially if they keep Antonio Gibson, and there's been buzz that they might trade him. That's not gonna happen. And you have a quarterback like Carson Wentz. He's happy-footed. You lost Brandon Scherf. You need a surefire that offensive line and protect Carson Wentz. He's happy-footed. He's Mr. Happy Feet. He gets lackluster with his footwork, and his awareness sometimes sucks. You need to protect his blind side, and if you do that, you have to get one of the best offensive linemen in this class from Mississippi State, Charles Cross. For a valued pick, I think this would make a ton of sense, and I think this would just be a perfect pick for what they want to do over there in Washington. And you cannot tell me he's not a Washington type of guy. I know they don't draft linemen that much in the first round, but I think this would be a Washington type guy. And that's why I have going here at 11 to the Washington Commanders. Next pick. The 12th pick in a 2022 NFL draft, I have the Minnesota Vikings selecting Derek Stingley, cornerback out of LSU. I think he is the best man-to-man corner in this class for simple reasons. If you take health out of context, right? If you take health out of context, I think Derek Stingley might be the best corner in this class. Arguably, because you still got Sauce, right? I think right now, as of this very moment, Sauce might be better. Sauce was the press cover king last year. No one scored a touchdown on him. But the thing is, when they're fully healthy, I feel like Stingley shows that he's a better man-to-man corner. And it may not be by that much, but it's still the fact that he's a better man-to-man corner when they're fully healthy. It's kind of like the J.C. Horn-Farley situation last year. Caleb Farley was the best man-to-man corner in the class. He was scrappy, aggressive, dog-like. He had that mentality, but he was injured. And the health stopped him from being the number one corner, even though I felt like he was. So that's why Stingley's been, moving down boards, even though he shouldn't be. I feel like he's got that trait. He's got the speed. And if you go back and check, he locked up guys like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson in practice. He was locking up guys like Devonta Smith. And Devonta Smith on double moves was beating dudes left and right at the cornerback position. And there was this one specific route that Devonta Smith ran on this out route. Devonta Smith kind of stutter stepped, and mind you, Stingley was there the entire step of the way. So I feel like Stingley already possesses that amazing man-to-man ability. So, and for the Vikings situation, they don't got that CB1. You have a aging Patrick Peterson. Right now, he's an elite 2, if we're being honest. A good 2, but not a 1 anymore. He's not himself anymore. And you also have Cameron Dantzler. And Cameron Dantzler isn't the greatest corner. You get a guy like Stingley, and I feel like he changes that defensive group around. He's the 12th pick right here to Minnesota. All right, pick 13. I have the Houston Texans selecting wide receiver out of Alabama, Jamison Williams. As I say, he's from Alabama. I mean, for simple reasons. I think the Texans need some dynamics to that offense. You have Brandon Cooks, right? But you don't know if Davis Mills is your guy or not. I mean, a lot of people don't think he is the guy, but from what I saw last year, I thought he did pretty solid. You feel me? Like, I thought he did pretty well for what he had to work with. It was really only Brandon Cooks. Other than that, I really don't think they had too much. And then, like, you just look at that offense. What dynamic do they have other than Brandon Cooks? It's like Brandon Cooks and old David Johnson. Like, and David Johnson's not really going to do anything for you. So it's nothing to that offense that just scares you. And I feel like with a big play waiting to happen type guy like Jamison Williams, I think that can add some dynamic to that offense. And I think Davis Mills is a pretty good deep ball passer. I thought most of his touchdowns came from deep ball passes anyway last year. So I feel like with this pick, it helps you because you have big play type quarterback that you want in your hands, and you get a big play type dynamic receiver to that offense, which already features a speedy type receiver, and Brandon Cooks, who's had 6 1,000-yard seasons and doesn't get respect. So I feel like this will be a great pick at 13, especially with them going edge at 3. I had them taking Kayvon. And you never know. Lovie Smith wants some offense. You just added defense with that 3rd pick. Now you add some offense to help you don't know if he's your future quarterback or not. So I feel like this will be a tremendous pick, especially for the value and where they're picking at pick 13. So pick 13 is Jamison Williams, wide receiver from Alabama. Let me know what you guys think about this pick. And then let's get to pick 14, as it is the Ravens. But, hey, Texans fans, what you think about this pick? I already had y'all going Kayvon. And then now you get Jamison Williams, one of the big play, waiting to happen type receivers. Dude's got dynamite, good catch radius, and he's a good scheme fit. So good. 14, I have the Baltimore Ravens selecting defensive tackle out of the University of Georgia, Jordan Davis. I mean, it's simple. Georgia had the best defense in college football last year, and it featured guys like Nakobe Dean, arguably the best middle linebacker in the class. Also, Trayvon Walker, one of the most athletic, savvy players in the class. Jordan Davis, obviously. Devonta Wyatt, Lewis Sign, Darion Kendrick. I could keep going, but that defense was very good last year. And they played absolutely tremendous football. And another reason and a big impact for that is because of Jordan Davis and what he brings to the table with his skill sets. I feel like Jordan Davis, like, as just a player, like, he's physical, scrappy, aggressive, clogs the middle. Dude's not going to let down, or he's not going to just give up on any play. I mean, sometimes he gets tired, and what they like to do last year was rotate Wyatt in and out of the lineup with him and Jordan Davis, and that gave Jordan Davis a little breather because he was doing a lot last year, man. Jordan Davis was doing a lot. And I think Devonta Wyatt is one of those just underrated skill set defensive tackles in this class. He's another one of those guys. But for Baltimore's situation, you have Calais Campbell, and obviously he's getting up there in age, so you gotta like replace him. And he's there. He's versatile. Could play defensive end and defensive tackle, but I just think you need some juice in that middle and young juice. And I feel like some fresh young blood with the new regime can add to what they already have there. And they added Marcus Williams to free agency. So pick 14 is Jordan Davis, the defensive tackle from Georgia. Let me know what you guys think of this pick. I feel like this is as realistic as possible. I know they added back Calais Campbell, but I think you got to go younger at the defensive tackle position. Dude's versatile, but you get some young juice there. I think it adds a lot to that regime, man. I really think it just adds a lot to it. So what do you guys think of this pick? Ravens fans, comment down below. Yeah, that's pick 14. With the 15th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, my Philadelphia Eagles select Jermaine Johnson out of the University of Florida State. Man, I think with this pick, it can help us go long ways in the NFL. Especially with the fact that this dude has all world potential. Like, he is a top 3 defensive end in this class. I have him higher than Trayvon Walker. And I personally feel like Trayvon Walker is a little bit overrated. Like, people, or not overrated, overhyped. I don't think he's as good as people are hyping him up to be. And I personally feel like with this pick, it gives us flexibility at the defensive end position, especially with us adding Hassan Reddick in the free agency. We also picked up Kaiser White as our outside linebacker to fill out that Alex Singleton role. And we need some flexibility and speed, length to that defensive end position. We added Hassan Reddick to a $15 million per year type deal. He's getting paid $15 million a year. And then you just add a guy like Jermaine Johnson, who's got, all-world potential. He's got the length, the speed. He needs to bulk up a little bit, but dude's got long arms. And another thing with Jermaine Johnson is he's very technical. He's underrated in that area. And he's fundamentally sound. We need guys that are, just patient, prudent, and have, the tenacity for the position. Not like a Derek Barnett where he's very impatient. And we just need a cornerstone type guy. And I think this guy can help us go long ways in the NFL. He reminds me a little bit of a Robert Quinn. Like a lesser, bulkier version of a Robert Quinn. With probably a little bit more speed. Not saying that Robert Quinn doesn't have great speed, but he's a little bit faster. And less bulkier. With less weight. So I think we need a guy that has that type of speed off the line. And he has a good rip move. So pick 15, the Eagles select Jermaine Johnson. Next pick, let's get 16. The New Orleans Saints select offensive lineman out of the University of Northern Iowa. They get tackle Trevor Penning. I mean, as a player, dude is big as hell. I've noticed that with a lot of these tackles. I think he's 6'7", in that 320 range. And us and the Saints just did a trade not even that long ago. It was a couple weeks ago. And in my opinion, I thought we won the trade because we're getting picks down the line. But if you really look at it, the Saints got 2 picks this year. And they have picks 16 and 19. And we got a bunch of picks in the later rounds and a pick next year. And also still 2 picks this year. We won that trade. But the thing is, the Saints at this pick take Trevor Penning because, honestly, for the fact that you just lost Teron Armstead, it just makes a lot of sense. And to note down what the player is like, as I said, he's 6'7", 320. He's very aggressive. He's powerful. Crazy chop block. And he has good straight line speed and a good burst off of that line. And he's aggressive. My only issue with him is he's very impatient. A lot of these linemen in this class, especially those tackles, are violent. And you see more of that flash down the field. But technique and skill comes from just being in that pocket and just not letting up. And I feel like sometimes he's a little too impatient, and that's what lets up a lot of speed rushers or a lot of bull rushers to beat him, because he's very off balance and he's very impatient. And I feel like if he understands how to not be too impatient, then I think he's good, because he's got all the physical tools, he's got all the physical traits, and he has the mental side there too. Dude is just one big ass dude. I can't even lie. 6'7", 320. That is absolutely tremendous. And he's a pretty good mover, I would say, down the field. Especially in that run game. I think he's pretty good down the field on that second level once it comes to that running game. So, with the Saints losing Teron Armstead, this is a great pick. 17, I have the Los Angeles Chargers selecting Perion Winfrey, defensive tackle out of Oklahoma. He's 6'3", 290. He's very athletic. He's very fancy with his technique and his movement. And I just personally feel like as a guy that comes off the middle, as just a tackle or a defensive tackle, he's very versatile. I think he brings a lot of juice as just overall incredible athletic, just rusher in the middle of the field or in the middle of the interior. I think dude has some like crazy like type speed to him that most of these defensive tackles don't have. It's a little bit of a difference, and I know a lot of people might look at this pick as a shocker, but with the Saints, I just said the Saints. I meant to say with the Chargers, losing or not having anyone there at the defensive tackle position that's not notable, I think this will be a great pick. And they just added Khalil Mack to that already amazing defensive line. You look at him as your outside linebacker, and you have Joey Bosa, one of the best defensive ends in the game. And you just need some defensive tackles and some interior. I want to say they have Linval Joseph, if I'm not mistaken. If they do, and I don't even think they have him anymore. He's a free agent. So with this pick, it gives you some juice and a value. It's a great valued pick in my opinion. Like, it just makes a ton of sense. The value of the position is there, and most of these picks just come off value, and they may like really look unrealistic, but from the Chargers' eyes, I could see it be a way where like they take a guy that fits what they're trying to do, fits their scheme, and is a valued pick. I think Perrion Winfrey would be great at 17 for the Chargers. So I had them taking Perrion Winfrey here. I like him a lot. He's aggressive, scrappy. He brings a lot of juice as just a defensive tackle. Dude can be just an athletic rusher. I mean, he gives you all the traits as a defensive tackle. He's versatile. He can play defensive end. So that's pick 17. All right, at pick 18, I have my Philadelphia Eagles yet again, once on the clock, taking the best middle linebacker in the class, Nakobe Dean, out of the University of Georgia, the Bulldogs. I mean, for this pick, and as you heard me say, I said he is the best middle linebacker in the class. He's a weak side linebacker who's more of a middle linebacker. What I'm looking for in a middle linebacker is a guy that could just key up the middle of the field. And Devin Lloyd, even though I think Lloyd is the best linebacker in the class, I personally feel like as a weak side linebacker, middle linebacker, Dean does that better. And because he could blitz too. Lloyd is just more like, I feel like Lloyd is more like for outside duty. He's more like, he could play middle, but not like how Nakobe Dean could play that weak side middle linebacker. I feel like Lloyd is more like just that outside linebacker type, more just pass rusher. He could pass rush too. And Lloyd is one of those guys that can really cover well. Nakobe Dean is just that middle linebacker, weak side guy. He's almost like a Roquan Smith too. The way they play, dude plays side to side on the field, has amazing speed, tremendous speed. I don't care if he's undersized. This guy can play ball. That's what we want on this team. Guys that can play dog mentality football, and I think he can play that. And I understand that TJ Edwards had a good season last year, but we need to upgrade at middle linebacker. And just based off of what we're looking at for the pick, I think Nakobe Dean is a great valued pick. I think Edwards can be a good linebacker in this league, but I feel like it's more depth or a fringe starter. I don't think he'll be better than Nakobe Dean. I think by the time Nakobe Dean gets to that second year, I think he'll be tremendous, or to that third year by the time he develops. I think he'll be an amazing starter, and I just want to upgrade. And you're looking at upside and potential with the draft, so I don't know how he's going to play, but I have so much high hopes for this dude. And I think he can change the culture and the outcome of that defense for real. For drafted a linebacker since 1979. So pick 18 is Nakobe Dean. Pick 19, the Saints, the New Orleans Saints, with yet another pick. I think they select quarterback out of the University of Ole Miss, Matt Carroll, who's coming off of an injury a couple months ago. And it was, man, like, when I was watching that game, I felt so bad for the guy. I think it was against Baylor, too. It was just a terrible play. And I feel bad for how the outcome was. I felt so bad for Matt Corral. And I feel like Matt Corral, if you look at it as just a quarterback, he's got all the potential in the world. He played with absolutely no one on that Ole Miss offense last year. He kind of carried it. If you really look at his game and study it, he has the ability to throw off platform. He has good athletic ability, pretty good accuracy, good arm strength, and he has a really good deep ball, in my opinion. Good release, good throwing motion. I think the only thing that you really have to look at with Matt Corral is his timing from the pocket. Like, can he consistently beat you in the pocket consistently, and his timing is good? So, I get that his accuracy is good, but sometimes his timing is off balance. Like, it's off course. Like, he's good with his timing. It's just that he's inconsistent with it, is what I'm trying to say. Like, he could beat you, but he can't beat you consistently because sometimes some of his throws are off course or off balance or off timing. The anticipation's got to be there. I think his awareness is good. The timing has to just be a little bit more consistent. I think if you give him a year to really get the grasp of things and just sit under Jameis, I think it could work out. You need to put some talent around that offense, and I think the Saints do that this offseason, especially with the draft coming up tomorrow. And with this team, really, if you look at it, you got Jameis, right? You need to put someone behind him that could take over the job, because I think Jameis is pretty good, but I don't think he's going to be the franchise quarterback of that team. I think Corral could be that with the potential that he has. Give him a year, and I think Corral could be good. So that's pick 19. The 20th overall pick, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers selecting Kenyon Green, guard out of the University of Texas A&M. I mean, for scrappy players, this might be one of the most scrappiest physical players in this draft. Him or Linderbaum at the offensive lineman position, and also Kwanu. But speaking of Kenyon Green, right? You look at the Steelers and you might think, okay, they're going to draft a quarterback. You just lost Ben Roethlisberger this past offseason, right? And you have Mitchell Trubisky there. But you need to protect Mitchell Trubisky if you think he's going to be a rental guy for a year or two. You have to protect him. And if you want to get to the playoffs and you want to be a sneaky playoff team, then you have to protect your guy just for now. And obviously you're going to think about the future for the quarterback position, but for the sake of now, you need to protect your guy who's there right now. And Mitchell Trubisky is not the franchise quarterback, but the quarterback right now for Pittsburgh. And Kenyon Green is just the offensive lineman. He might be the best guard in this class. And I say might there because there's a couple other guys in this guard class that are pretty good too. But, Kenyon Green, as I said, he's a very scrappy player. Stands at 6'3", 320. He's very physical, has heavy hands. He's powerful, good grip off that line. He's athletic. He's durable. I think his only issue is hand placement. And then he just doesn't reset his hands quickly after just leverage is put on him. Like a defensive tackle has leverage over him. He doesn't get there quickly. So you gotta reset your feet quickly. And I think he can adapt to that in the NFL. But for as of the sake of now, Pittsburgh goes Kenyon Green. And I'm not familiar with their guards. So for another valued pick here, I think Pittsburgh goes interior guard. And then they fill out that interior guard position with Kenyon Green at pick 20. All right, pick 21, I think the New England Patriots select cornerback out of the University of Clemson, Andrew Booth Jr. I mean, I think he might be one of the most technically, fundamentally sound corners in this class. And if we're just being honest, like, that's the type of players that Bill Belichick looks for. You never know what Bill Belichick is going to do in the draft. And he's one of those type of guys that likes to trade up, trade down. I don't really think he likes to trade up, actually. He's more of a trade down guy. And I feel like with this pick, they stay put and take one of the best, most just like physical talents there at the board with Andrew Booth Jr. I think Andrew Booth Jr. is technical. He's physical. He's scrappy. I think he's going to be pretty durable in the NFL. My only issue with him is sometimes when a receiver releases, usually in the middle of the field, sometimes he'll let up. And what I mean by letting up in the middle of the field is some of those intermediate routes, like those silky smooth route runners, if they cut up and fake like a cut in or cut out route, usually at like that, like, just confuses him. Some route concepts confuse him. And I feel like he's got to really work on that. But I think with the coach like Bill Belichick, he can definitely make that work. And you cannot tell me this is not a Patriots type of player. I mean, he's serious as it gets. And, you know, the Patriots look for those serious players. So I feel like with this pick, it gives you just a wide, not gap, but a wide selection of just juice on that cornerback group or on that secondary with just losing J.C. Jackson. And he honestly reminds me of a Stephon Gilmore. So that's the pick here at 21 for the New England Patriots. A Patriots type of guy with Andrew Booth Jr. I'm thinking that's the Patriots way too. So that's the pick right here. They don't trade down like they do literally every year. So that is the pick at pick 21 here to the New England Patriots. Let me know what you guys think of this pick, Patriots fans. Yeah, that is pick 21. Pick 22, I have the Packers selecting wide receiver out of the University of USC, Drake London. I mean, it's simple. Dude is one of the best body control receivers in the class. I think Dotson's probably number one just for the fact that he's 5'11", 6 foot, and just has that much, like, just tremendous body control. You look at a guy like Drake London, and you understand how good his capabilities and assets are. Dude is 6'3". He has tremendous size, good length. I think on some route concepts, yes, he gets confused by what the corner is going to do. And, you know, his speed might not be the greatest. A lot of people compare him to a guy like a Mike Evans, a slower version of a Mike Evans. And I see a little bit more of a Kenny Golladay, like a lesser, I would say like a slower version of a Kenny Golladay, but does more after the yak sometimes. And that's not no knock to Kenny Golladay. Golladay has pretty good underrated speed. I just feel like with London, you're getting a guy that has, you know, good route concepts sometimes. And he is inconsistent though. I will definitely look at that trade too. On some route concepts, on some techniques, and some lateral quickness, just overall speed. I feel like he's wishy-washy. And then like anticipation and technique with the blocking is very inconsistent too. But I think effort might also be another thing to question with London. But I don't know. I don't think he's going to be a bust. I think he'll be a pretty good receiver, especially with the Packers just losing Devonta Adams, arguably the best receiver in the game. You need another go-to guy to throw to if you're Devonta, or not Devonta Adams, if you're Aaron Rodgers. And London, I think, could be a really good scheme fit for the Packers. He can set up a lot, especially with the contested catch, the size, underrated after the yak, good intermediate guy. I think this guy is going to do some good league work, and he's going to come good in this league, man. Pause. But I think he's going to come in this league and just do really tremendous. And fit. So I think that would be a good pick here at 22. With the 23rd overall pick, I have the Arizona Cardinals selecting defensive tackle out of the University of Georgia, Devonta Wyatt. I mean, as just a defensive tackle, he is one of the most underrated players in this class. Most of the reason why Jordan Davis was in and out of the lineup as taking a breather was because of this guy. Devonta Wyatt can come in and just wreak havoc and clog the middle. Top 3 defensive lineman in this class, or top 3 defensive tackle in this class. Dude is a baller. I think he's a stud, scrappy, aggressive, physical. And the Cardinals just lost Chandler Jones. You need some juice, some young blood to that defense. You have Buda Baker, Byron Murphy Jr. You need some, I would say, just physicality and young juice to that defense. So that's why I have them taking my guy, Devonta Wyatt, here. That Georgia defense was absolutely tremendous last year. And they add one of those players to that defense. And Vance Joseph will definitely coach this guy up to be a baller next year if they take him. And I just love this pick. I love the value of this pick. They don't have a definite defensive tackle, and I think this guy could come in and just be that guy that comes in and shores up that defensive line for that Cardinals defense. So Cardinals fans, what do you think of this pick? Pick 23, I believe. The Cardinals, you guys select Devonta Wyatt. What do you guys think of this pick? I know we got a day left, but what are your guys' reactions to this pick on my mock draft, my last and final mock draft of the year before tomorrow's last day comes of the draft? And tomorrow would be the draft, actually, because tomorrow is the 28th. So, hey, y'all get Devonta Wyatt, one of my favorite players. I think he can definitely shore up that defensive line. So that is the pick right here at 23. Let's get to pick 24, where the Cowboys, the snotty Cowboys, select. Y'all won't know, but that is the pick here at pick 23. Devonta Wyatt. With the 24th overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, I have the Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys, or the snotty Cowboys, selecting center out of the University of Iowa. My opinion, the best center in the class, Tyler Linderbaum. I mean, y'all know I'm a huge fan of Lenderbaum. I think of this guy as a high talent that isn't going to get talked about or is getting undervalued because of the position that he plays. I understand that some teams value it, but there's a lot of other teams that don't value the center position. The center position is more than you guys think. And the Cowboys, they have Biotish, but let's just be honest, they haven't had a good center since Tyler or Travis Frederick. And this is a Travis Frederick comparison, Tyler Linderbaum. I think Linderbaum is going to be a perennial all-pro bowler. That's why I have him going right here to the Cowboys as a good pick for them at pick 24. It's a great valued pick. And, you know, they just lost Lyle Collins and Connor Williams. You need to fill out the offensive line. So that is why I have Linderbaum going here at pick 24. It's just a great value pick, man. I think it just makes a lot of sense for what the Cowboys are working with right now. And Dak Prescott, usually when he doesn't have his offensive line, he gets shaky. So you need to give him an offensive line that can block and some pieces there at the offensive line position, which I think that can work it out. At pick 24 is Tyler Linderbaum. So, yeah, and it sucks, man. I love Linderbaum. I don't want him to go to the Cowboys, but I think this would be a realistic pick for them. The 25th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, I have the Buffalo Bills selecting running back out of the University of Iowa State, Breece Hall. I mean, just for the simple fact that I feel like dude has got all the talent in the world. And, like, I feel like with this pick, and I've gotten bashed for this pick, and I stand by it. I understand that you have Devin Singletary. I understand that you have Zach Moss. And I feel like with this pick, just based off the way that the reports and articles have been coming out on Twitter, there's been several sources that have said that Breece Hall and the Bills, you know, they've been going back and forth with each other. Pause. The Buffalo Bills organization and front office is a love affair with this guy. And I understand that you have Singletary and Zach Moss. I think Breece Hall can be a really good one in this league. I think Singletary is a pretty good one. I just think he fits more of that just one role, 2-1 role. And I think Breece Hall could come in there and just be that one after a year. So I personally feel like with this pick, it gives you just a great valued pick and, just some juice. I get that he's 5'11", or I think like 6 foot. He's a really good third down back. Good size, good build for the position, good eyes, good vision. His ceiling is very high, kind of like a Le'Veon Bell. Really good impact player. I just personally feel like this would be the pick. It could be unrealistic, who knows? But that's the point of the draft, to be unrealistic, and you never know what's going to happen. So that's why I have them taking Breece Hall right here at 25. And I think this dude has a tremendous ceiling. So let's see what happens with the Buffalo Bills as we are approaching some of these later picks. Hit the like button if you haven't already. But that is the pick here. Buffalo Bills fans, what do you think? I live 2 hours from Buffalo, so if you don't like this pick, man. But yeah, what do you guys think of this pick? I think this is a great value pick for the Bills. I don't know. People have their opinions. I don't know. But yeah, that is the pick right here at 25. Next pick at 26 is the Titans. Let's get it. Pick 26, I have the Tennessee Titans selecting one of the most underrated linebackers in the draft class, my guy, Christian Harris from the University of Alabama. If you talk about a scheme fit for the Titans, this would be that scheme fit. I think Christian Harris is one of the most underrated, most well-rounded linebackers in this class. And as just a coverage guy, I think he is one of the best coverage linebackers in this class, if not the best, behind either Lloyd or Dean. And I think with Christian Harris, he just gives you a good speed. He gives you good speed, length, and then like he's rangy too. He's a rangy guy. You look at him as a smaller guy, but I think he's pretty rangy for his size. And his speed coverage, and what I mean by speed coverage is not just speed. I'm talking about what he can do and stand his kind of ground in a way is what I mean by speed coverage. I think Christian Harris is one of the best at doing that, going side to side on the field. And as a cover guy, as I said, pointed out, he is one of the best in this class. I'd say he's a top 3 coverage linebacker in this class, and that's just facts. And that's why I have him going here to the Titans. The Titans need a linebacker. I don't know who they have at linebacker right now. You drafted one a couple years ago. I think that was Rashad Evans. You need one still. You have Harold Landry there on that defense. You have Kevin Byard. And then you just picked up Caleb Farley last year. So I think this will be a great value pick. They need a linebacker, and it just makes a lot of sense. It's just a tremendous pick at pick 26. So that is the pick at pick 26 here to the Tennessee Titans. 27, I have the Bucs selecting, aka the Buccaneer Bucs, selecting Kaiir Elam out of the University of Florida. Kaiir Elam is one big physical tackling machine of a corner. I think dude is a technical, rangy guy. And, I mean, he does have some troubles in the intermediate. I will say that on some intermediate routes, on some route concepts and alignments, I think he does get kerbobbled or tricked by some receivers on what they're going to do. But in terms of hand placement as just technique, I think he might be one of the best corners in the class. I mean, he's got range, size, he's physical, got good physicality. And I think his speed is pretty above average. It's not great, but for a corner, it's above average. So, and if you look at the Bucs situation, they have Carlton Davis and Bunting. Bunting was hurt last year. I think you need a future one. Davis is a good one, but I think it's just more off a stats base. And off the film, he's good, but you need another corner there because some of those corners get hurt for them. And some of those corners need some help on the outside. Get a guy that's physical, big, and just gives you another body at the cornerback position. I think it would be good. And I think his technique and hand placement as a cornerback is pretty good. So that's why I have him going right here to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at pick 27. And you have the GOAT there, obviously Tom Brady. I don't know, man. I think it's just a good pick for them, what they're trying to build over there. And you have Bowles as the head coach now, so it's gonna change down there in Tampa. But that is the pick here at pick 27 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that's why I have them going here. Pick 28 for the Green Bay Packers. I have them selecting offensive lineman, guard, particular. His name is Zion Johnson, one of the most prudent, patient offensive linemen. There's a lot of guards that are patient and prudent, and I like that. You need some guards that are just... I think the thing is with guards, they're a little bit more patient than tackles. If you just really look at the film, you got to be a really good tackle and steady with your hands and technique. And for the Packers situation, you just lost, I think, Billy Turner. I'm just not familiar with their guards. So that's why I have them taking my guy Zion Johnson here. He blocked for A.J. Dillon. So it gives you familiarity at the position. And you need to protect Aaron Rodgers. I understand that you just lost one of the best receivers in the game with Devonta Adams, but you have to also think about safe picks and just valued picks, and that's why I have him going right here at pick 28, Zion Johnson to the Green Bay Packers at 28. With the 29th overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, I have the Kansas City Chiefs selecting defensive end out of the University of Purdue, George Karloftis. I mean, you might say, how did he slip that far? I mean, I don't think he gives you all the flash in the world, and that's not what I'm looking for. But he's a technician. I don't think he's this all-about-it type defensive end. I think he's pretty solid. Dude's physical, scrappy. He's a technical guy. Has good hand placement as a defensive end. I think he has pretty above average speed. Voice crack there. I think he has pretty above average speed. And as I said, his technique as a defensive end is above average. I think I like his hand chops. His steady, just constant going at you type. I think he's pretty good in that area. And the Chiefs, I mean, they have Frank Clark, but he's an aging guy. You need some juice to that defensive line group. You just think about those days when they had Tamba Ali and forgetting another guy, but they've had just underrated defensive lines in the past, and it just comes with the trenches. And I think this would be a safe pick for the Chiefs, as I have them taking a receiver with the next pick. But for this pick, I think it just makes a lot of sense for the Kansas City Chiefs at pick 29. But that is a pick right here at pick 29. 29, I had the Kansas City Chiefs, or not pick 29, pick 30, my bad. Pick 30, I had the Kansas City Chiefs selecting wide receiver out of the University of Georgia, George Pickens. You might be thinking this is an unrealistic pick, but for the Chiefs, I think, especially with them losing Tyreek Hill, this just makes sense. It's a valued pick. I think for the Chiefs situation, I think it just makes a lot of sense. George Pickens gives you that size. He gives you that durability. I think his effort needs a little bit of work. He needs to understand that there's someone always watching and taking your spot. So I like this pick for the Chiefs. I think it's a good value pick, and that's why I have them going right here to the Chiefs, especially with them losing Tyreek Hill. You have Mecole Hardman. I don't think it's familiarity because he didn't play with Mecole Hardman, but he has that Georgia experience there. And you have Patrick Mahomes, one of the best quarterbacks in the game, debatably and arguably the best quarterback in the game. So that is the pick here. And let's get to the next pick at pick 32 for the Detroit Lions. At the 31st pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, I have the Cincinnati Bengals selecting offensive tackle out of the University of Tulsa, Tyler Smith. Very physical, patient offensive lineman. If you look at the Cincinnati Bengals situation, this team just came off a Super Bowl run, right? They didn't win it, but one of the reasons why they didn't win it is because their offensive line protection for their quarterback, their franchise quarterback, Joe Burrow, was because of the fact that they don't have any protection. I mean, you have some guys there, but you just don't have great protection. And I think if you add a guy like Tyler Smith in, who is one of the most underrated tackles in this draft class, I think it gives you some, just depth and durability and another body there at offensive line. And you just need surefire guys. Depending on if Linderbaum's there, you take Linderbaum. But if this guy's here, I think he's a safe pick. He's a very patient player, very prudent, and he's physical, has good technique for a lineman. And that's why I have him going right here to Cincinnati at pick 31. It's just a great valued pick, and that's why I like it so much for the Cincinnati Bengals. But that is my pick for the Bengals right here at pick 31. With the number 32 overall pick, I have the Detroit Lions with their second pick, taking Devin Lloyd, linebacker, out of the University of Utah. Y'all might be wondering, how did Devin Lloyd slip that far? Now, here's why I have him slipping that far. I have him falling this far because I personally feel like with just the linebacker position, just based off the trenches need, I think teams are going to need some linemen in that, upper top 20-esque. And I feel like Lloyd's going to start slipping. And I feel like with the talent that's there for the Lions, I think they have no choice but to not pass this up. You got to take a player with the talent of Devin Lloyd. And, what does he possess to the field? He's got the speed. He's got the length. He's got the size. He can cover. He's got good instincts. He's got good IQ. He's intelligent. And he fits that defense. They run a 3-4 base alignment with their new defensive head coach, and their inside linebackers coach, Kelvin Shepard. And, they just got a new regime last year with Dan Campbell. They weren't great last year. Like, let's just be honest. I thought they were solid. They were competitive is what I'm trying to say. They were competitive. And I feel like you need that tenacity on that defense. And I personally feel like Devin Lloyd possesses what they want to do over there in Detroit. And if you have a talent over there like Devin Lloyd on that defense, and I already added Trayvon Walker to that defense. So you need more, just dogs on that defense. And I personally feel like with the talent that's sitting there, they won't pass this up, and they're going to take Devin Lloyd right here. And they had a solid linebacking unit last year. They weren't great. Who was number 50's name? I can't remember. But I remember him having a solid season. They got a couple guys over there. Jeff Okudah. It's not the greatest defense. You need some dogs on that defense, to help you down the line, 10 years down the line. You need a cornerstone of that defense. And I think Devin Lloyd has the intangibles to beat that, or to be that. And I personally feel like he's the best linebacker in this class. Nakobe Dean is the best middle linebacker in this class. Lloyd is more of the outside guy, cover guy. And he also can pass rush. He can pass rush as an edge. So dude's got it all. And with that 3-4 basic defense, I think is good. So